is innovation and startup ecosystem. Basically, if we talk about the startup ecosystem, we can't keep away from innovation ecosystem. But what happens whenever we talk about two different ecosystems, the innovation ecosystem and startup ecosystem, many places the definition you will find that resembles with the innovation ecosystem and startup ecosystem. But during my entire talk, many places I made startup ecosystem, but the main focus and concentration will be there on startup ecosystem. And in today's context, there is a big relevance of a startup ecosystem as the government has identified it as one important aspect of any higher education institution. In between, you will find how it is important what the government is doing, and he cannot keep away from it is making a continuous basis, especially in innovation. Probably it is so difficult that what should be the starting from that is a company is a D2C and built our technology. Around, or you can say turning throughout night from one side to another side, and many times he is unable to sleep because of huge or severe pain. But these were the two founders, Priyanka Selot and Harshil Selot. They initiated a startup in 2019 and they have based their company in. Same time, they have taken the complete help of Defense Research and Development Organization that is called a DRDO, and one of the chief scientists who worked there in DRDO, the name of that particular scientist was Dr. A.K. Tripathi, which was working on polymers for last so many years and was there in a condition to have a breakthrough, especially out of the polymer and chemical and technology, etc., etc. But working with them and using the DRDO's ecosystem, they simply focus on having the angel investors, Series A, Series B, and Series C investors. We can say Fireside Ventures, Lots X Ventures, Varun Alag, these were the key investors, and they simply raised a total funding of 2 million. That was completely it was not a Series B investment they had, but at the same time they had a Series A investment and raised 2 million amount. And what they did, if you go and try to find the mattresses of sleep company, you can find everywhere it is available. And you can't believe, recently Harshit Shalot, he gave the interview and he said that in each product he is about to have a 20,000 rupees profit, whatever the price they have capped, and customers are highly satisfied, especially out of that particular sleep company's mattresses. So this is one example which is there, which can easily be understood, especially as the breakthrough of the startup ecosystem. Another example which I would like to quote, that is an innovator. And the founder of this company was Abhinav Shashank, Kanav Hasija, and Sandeep Gupta. They have taken the initiative in 2014, and at the same time they simply focus especially on the healthcare sector. But after having the Series A, Series B, at the same time we can't forget a seed money, angel investment, especially in this particular venture. And Series A, B, C, D, total funding they have $229.1 million they raised from these. And they completely have a business profit making business or model, but at the same time they the major investment which was made in the form of ABCD, there was Tiber Global Management, that Mabadala Capital, M12 and OMSA's Growth, Equity among others. And what they simply tried the briefing of a product idea that is completely based on Internet of Things and big data analytics. What they used to do, they simply made a device which collects the data of various patients and provide it to the doctor. So the majority of the products which are sold, they are being sold there in United States. And number of companies are the competitor of innovators. And what they did, they have also used a very reputed innovation ecosystem based in IIT Mumbai. So that is these are the two success stories, especially which are the breakthrough of startup ecosystem. Now I am giving few examples which we have produced in past 3 years. These are the few examples which are there in front of you, and these examples are we are also in a startup ecosystem. We would like to quote it out that Institute of Management Studies, they are having the incubation center, and in past 3 years these are great breakthrough we had in the form of startup ecosystem. Kindred Elements Private Limited, they produce the IoT device for home appliances, and the name of the founder is Avichal Jain. Visa Consultancy, security briefcases they have made. It completely works on the especially the internet solution, and it is not possible for any person to use it out. Vidya Bhushan is a co-founder. The Acupace Technologies, they have come out with the piezoelectric shoes. Sumit Kumar is the co-founder, and the focus area is again the IoT and electronics. Vyom Digital Services, they have come out in the form of vital measurement product, the measurement product. Then Bigush Healthcare Private Limited, app to connect the doctor, app to connect the customer that is available, but at the same time app to connect the doctor in order to have the similarity and discussion, especially on the patient condition with the doctor as well. That was a great breakthrough. And he has initiated and he has developed a device which is especially connecting the doctor for each other. Weeble Private Limited, the hybrid wheelchair product. Then Delta Apps Private Limited. Like this, I can say that near about we have incubated more than 75 startup in past 3 years, and almost everyone is out in the market, especially with their innovative product. These are the few examples which I am quoting you so that you can understand what exactly is the meaning of innovation ecosystem or startup ecosystem, and how do they perform and what kind of breakthrough the innovation ecosystem can provide to the market or to the economy as well. But before going especially in some other aspect of innovation ecosystem and startup ecosystem, we must have the understanding, clarity about the innovation ecosystem. So as far as the innovation ecosystem is concerned, we can say it describes about various players and stakeholders and community members that are critical for innovation. Any person which is useful for innovation, it describes about them and who can be the part of the innovation ecosystem. We can say our universities or the institutions where we are working, we are teaching, or we are studying, they are the part of innovation ecosystem. Government, because India is that country which invests government investment, especially in startup ecosystem, innovation ecosystem, is highest among all the country in the world. If you go to any of the country which is ranking 1 ranking to 35 ranking, then you will find the private investment is highest, whereas the government investment is minimum. Whereas government of India is investing huge, especially in creating our innovation ecosystem and startup ecosystem. Other than that, other companies which are already having a breakthrough and which want to support some other startup to come forward. Then at the same time, startup accelerators or the incubator which has either been created, developed by a private entity or the government have taken the initiative, especially in order to develop this thing. Apart from that, the venture capitalists, or you can say those investors which are having the money in the form of a seed money, and at the same time those who are having the money in the form of a series A, B, C, D, E money, which want to invest for the different purposes, especially in startups. Then private investors, we cannot forget foundations, or you can say vision, mission, etc., etc. They also plays an important role. Mentors. Now, who are the mentor? Any of the person which that can be the mentor of startups. So they are also, and at the same time, at last, the media, because media provides the visibility in order to motivate them so that any of the startup can come in the market and can have a better flow in order to supply the product to the customer in an easiest way. But we can say it is the evolving set of actors, activities, artifacts, institutions, and relations. There is no limitation. It will be simply limited to this one. A startup ecosystem always have a open, area where any the person which is from outside that can be entered inside easily and further can help out the various startup system in order to innovate the product and to scale up the product so that it can easily reach in the market in the form of acceptance by the customers. Now, question comes, if the innovation is taking place, it is not like that. The innovation is not taking place in isolation. There are millions of, innovator startups which have done a wonderful job in past, and they have worked very nicely. But because of their isolated innovation, still number of companies has been established, and they are being established as well. But in that condition, when the innovation is taking place in isolation, then what is the need for having an innovative ecosystem? The reason behind that thing, many a times the startup don't have the sufficient infrastructure through which they can work out. They don't have sufficient knowledge. They don't have sufficient expertise. They don't have the sufficient idea how to go for the resource planning. They don't have sufficient idea how any kind of resource can be accessed, or in case if they have additional resource that can be supplied to some other person. In the absence of all these things, there's a need to create a innovation ecosystem, because it creates a proper flow of investment. They don't have any idea who is that person which is going to invest with them. They don't have any idea which is the angel investor, which is the venture capital investment, and how to borrow them, how to get the venture capital investment, especially in their investment. What kind of infrastructure needed in case if they want to have any kind of breakthrough, especially in that particular area. So in order to provide the proper access and the means of sharing the resources between each and every person, there's a need to have a innovation ecosystem. That's why innovation ecosystem is important. Now you must be finding one of the picture which is being displayed that is talking about the engagement of an ecosystem partner. We have talked about that investor is one of the engagement ecosystem partner. Then mentor is advisor, universities, government funding, investment. Every person is the engagement. Media is the engagement partner. Corporate is the engagement partner. Any other startup which is existing there, they are also the engagement partner. We can say the various kind of activities which can be focused and initiated from the ecosystem partner, they are there in front of you. Now, as far as the educational institutions are concerned, they can contribute, especially in the form of providing the expertise and giving the programs or the planning, especially to any of the startup which have initiated the startup in any of the incubation center. They can provide the thought leader, they can give the think tank, and they can also create work as an influencer, especially to motivate the innovation ecosystem, or you can say startup partner. Then at the same time, competitors, many a times, though it is so difficult to have any kind of association with any of the competitor, even then it has been seen that number of competitors have come forward. And after viewing the competitors, the kind of initiative which has been taken by the competitor, many a time startup initiate working especially in that direction. Then apart from that, innovative companies is also one of that, and in that startup, the various partner, vendors, suppliers, customers, they also work as one of the knitted innovative ecosystem partner. Then various consultancies, then incubators and accelerators either promoted them itself or the private entity supported by any corporate house or by the government. They are also the innovation partner. Then apart from that, the government can never be neglected, as many a times as far as the policy making is concerned, providing the investment in any form to them or any kind of support system which is existing there that is provided to them, that also work as one of the ecosystem partner. And when the ecosystem partner engages with each other, then it definitely provides a complete support to the startup in order to come up in an innovative prototype and taking up the proper initiative in order to scale the production of that particular company or startup and finally reaching to the customer. Now, what exactly happens? We can say whenever we talk about the innovation ecosystem, they create the value. Now, who creates the value? Government creates the value for a startup. A startup creates a value for educational institution as the incubation which is existing over there. If any of the mentor which is associated with them, it creates a value for the mentor. Mentor creates a value for a startup. Advisor creates a value for a startup, and startup creates a value for advisor. Then at the same time, investor creates a value for a startup creates a value for investor. But the kind of association which is existing between all ecosystem partners, they are creating the value. So we can say any of the engagement partner, they are the value creator. They are the value creator. And as far as the value creation is concerned, we can say it comes in the form of a domino effect, which creates a cumulative effect and chain reaction produced when one event set of a chain of similar activities. So every engagement partner, ecosystem partner, they are the value creator. Now let us come to creator's three-dimension methodology. It has been divided into two parts: organization versus ecosystem partner. The upper portions simply tells about the organization's dimension, and the lower portion that talks about the ecosystem dimension. In organization's dimensions, internal innovation is one part, external innovation another part, and community-based innovation, that is another part. So three kind of innovation which are taking place especially in organization, they has been described over here. Internal innovation talks about the innovation which is created by the employees of the organization. Whereas external innovation that talks about the activities created with other organizations for that particular organization. And as far as the community-based ecosystem which creates the value, that talks about the organization's interaction with the larger innovation community, because ultimately some other persons they gets engaged with that particular organization and they supplies different kind of idea, and finally the product is developed or innovation is converted in the form of a prototype, and they finally take the initiative in order to scale up that particular product. Whereas the lower portion talks about the ecosystem dimension. Now ecosystem dimension that also talks about the individual organization. That means developing innovative capacity internally, and at the same time employees are involved in order to develop and share the knowledge. Now where it can be developed in ecosystem, any kind of individual developing takes place in any of the incubators, accelerators, then entrepreneurship development centers, or other kind of system which has already been developed by the government or private entity, which helps the individual organization in order to come in the form of prototype. Whereas second type of ecosystem dimension is interaction between two or more organizations. Here also the interaction takes place, but at the same time the interaction takes place in the creative growth, profit and impact, which results in a form of a collaboration with other business transactions. We may say the interaction may take place between the venture capital investment in the ecosystem, then the startup companies have a complete support from the venture capital in order to have the further development or utilizing the technology to have a complete breakthrough in that particular prototype which is being developed by them. And third kind of ecosystem dimension is the ecosystem community. which helps in growing the ecosystem's innovative capacity by and sharing the knowledge within the communities which are existing. And this is the important aspect where we should be. We need not to develop any kind of product, especially in an individual organization or the interaction between two or more organizations, but we should have a ecosystem community in order to create a big business model which itself can excel and can work at a further stage, so that all kind of startups which are thinking to have the kind of development coming future, they can go and get adjusted in ecosystems communities. Because we say organization meetups are one of few of the events for the community members that helps in having the networking, and that creates the cross-fertilization, especially in an ecosystem. And when the cross-fertilization in the ecosystem is created, automatically the number of persons keeps on increasing on continuous basis, on continuous basis. So this is the three-dimension methodology. Now we can say innovative ecosystem also gets matured. How? They passes through level 1 to level 2, level 3 to level 4, and level 4 to level 5. It starts with the initial introduction to innovation, and it comes to integration and adoption of innovation. And what are the various things which plays an important role? Definitely people, startup, ecosystem partner that plays an important role. That can be the people, that can be any other partner, maybe a corporate house, maybe the startup. Then at the same time, what knowledge the various persons are having, that also plays an important role. The networking which is taking place, that also plays an important role. And the complete investment that startup ecosystem had, especially in different startup, and the government support which has been provided by that particular innovation ecosystem, that creates the maturity. And as far as the maturity of the money is concerned, we may say a company or a startup may start from a seed capital, angel capital. Later stage, they may go for a series funding, B series funding, C series, D series, and finally at the venture capital funding, etc., etc. So as on the basis of development which is taking place, they can initiate the different kind of initiative for different kind of funding from the organization. And one more thing should be very much clear. When a person takes the initiative, he himself is alone at the initial stage. But when person grows, automatically number of persons gets involved, gets attached with him. And finally, when he reaches to a success, a huge bunch of people or the partner, they are, associated with him. And the contribution of each and every partner that can't be neglected, that needs to be assessed. And at the same time, government also takes an initiative in the form of providing a support to them. But when that ecosystem reaches startup reaches at the very maturity level, especially innovation ecosystem, that also have many initiatives initiated by the government. As far as the knowledge is concerned, that also works in a same form. Now this is the enhancing innovation ecosystem. How to enhance the innovation ecosystem? There are 7 principles which should be followed for enhancing innovation ecosystem. This has been borrowed from Bix 2012, in which he has written some kind of article on the basis of his personal experience toward the principle of enhancing resilience of ecosystem services. First thing is maintain diversity and redundancy, especially in ecosystem. That is one of the very important aspects that needs to be maintained, especially in case if you don't have any kind of diversity. May I speak, Rishi Verma, madam? Hello? Please kindly put your video on mute, put yourself in mute. Now, second thing is manage the connectivity. So second very important aspect, that we know that number of persons may be connected, but who are of your use, that is also one of the important aspects that needs to be taken care in case if we follow proper attention, especially in managing the connectivity, and definitely the innovation ecosystem, that will be better. Encouraging learning, experimenting, whatever the knowledge we are having, probably it may not be sufficient. There's a need to have continuously working out, especially on the knowledge what we are having. Then at the same time, participation should be broadened. It should not be limited to few persons. We have the habit not to tell anything what we are doing to some other person. But it is possible in case if we go ahead and tell some other person, maybe it may be possible some other kind of help may come to us. Then promote polycentric government system. There's a need to have a complete polycentric governance system should be there. Then foster understanding of complex adaptive system. Whatever the complex adaptive system is existing, there's a need to create the understanding about that. Then managing the slow variables and feedback. Many a times it happens, few person or few startup or few partners, it takes a time in order to get adjusted with our innovative ecosystem. But later stage, understanding those things properly and working out in an effective way and providing the feedback to them, it is possible for them to have a complete control and in order to reduce down, increase the speed of various variables or various partners which are existing in an innovation ecosystem. And when working out, especially on these 7 principles, it is very much clear that in an innovation ecosystem, the performance of innovation ecosystem that will be enhanced. And how we can measure the performance of an innovation ecosystem? It can be measured on the basis of complete outcome any of the person is having. Any of the incubation cell, entrepreneurship cell, anything which has been initiated, until unless they come out with a complete breakthrough, some kind of breakthrough, probably it is not possible for any other person to have what to say that particular cell or the innovation ecosystem or the incubator that is successful. So there's a need to properly work out on these 7 principles and go ahead with the principles, with how that system is working in the form of an outcome. Now, these are the few steps which can help in building a thriving innovation ecosystem. First is defining the needs and your offering. That what are the needs? We know innovation ecosystem exists, but there's a need to strengthen the innovation ecosystem. It starts from somewhere, it reaches somewhere. I remember the incubation center which was established a long back in our institution, we don't have any idea that how to proceed further, especially with this. But when we have started, we have simply understood the various drivers we need to take care. Then what kind of support system we can provide to the incubators in coming time, as we don't have the establishment at present. Once we will have the establishment, different incubators will come. They will have a different kind of idea. We don't have expertise. How and from where we will borrow the expertise in order to develop their prototype, and what kind of partnering we can initiate in order to have the successful innovation system. That was the step 1 where we initiated. But second step, which help in having the map your innovation ecosystem. That means map your current relationship which you are having and the accomplishment which you had from the previous collaborations. Because in case we have already established, then what kind of accomplishment which you had. But at the same time, if it has not been initiated, which kind of accomplishment and the collaboration you want to have, you need to create a complete map of the ecosystem partners, which can properly be aligned with the needs of our ecosystem. And in this direction, the third step is to plan the priority. See, priority can be of various types. Priority can be the collaborator, priority can be the incubator, priority can be using of technology, priority can be sharing of knowledge, priority can be having the partnership with some other ecosystem, priority can be inviting certain angel investors in the organization in order to have the complete explanation about what kind of prototype is being developed here. Priority can be team building. Now, it is not possible for any of the innovation ecosystem to leave any kind of priority, because every kind of priority which I have simply discussed with you, each is very important to them. But it is not possible to work out completely all together. It may be prioritized that what things should be worked first and what should be worked second, and later stage what can be offered. And so this is the third step which needs to work out. And in the fourth step, there is a need to build a complete innovative ecosystem that help in structuring the communication in order to attract the partner, create the incubators, attend to events, visit the research centers, going ahead for the developing of the prototype, testing and refining them, then taking all the initiative in order to bring those things in the media, providing the complete support system in order to market the product, and sending them, and apart from that, whenever we are in need, asking them to come to us immediately in order to promote, motivate few new incubators which has recently joined in our, in our ecosystem. So this is the complete step through which the thriving innovative ecosystem can be developed. Now let us come to the various elements or the component of innovation ecosystem which are existing in India. Because until unless we understand what the reality is, where we are standing today, and how we can proceed further, what are the support systems which are being provided by the government, probably it is not possible for us to go ahead and to work properly. So this is the innovation ecosystem in India. Now we can say present innovation ecosystem in the world is third largest innovation ecosystem. You can't believe, third largest. It has received a total funding of $4 billion, especially to develop the startups for the support of incubation and business acceleration programs in India. Now, near about 20,000 startups has been developed recently. We are available with 280 incubation centers. The figure is quite old. It is somewhat very close to 500 something incubation center. It is given the next slide. And certain number of, that is near about 200 and something accelerator center in India. We are having 200 global and domestic venture capital firms which are supporting startups, and have near about community of 231 angel investors and 8 angel networks are existing. It is so important for any of the startup to enter in angel networks. The moment they enters in angel network, the kind of support system that is support is given to startup, that is very, very different. And support is given in the form of having the advices, support in the form of what kind of changes which can be brought, especially in the product, and support in the form of investment as well. Now, few of the areas where we are receiving the funding, they are artificial intelligence, blockchain, storage, computing, Internet of Things, robotics, etc., etc. And our target is to increase incubators up to 1,000 through you having the investment of $37 billion in coming time. So what kind of target the government has taken at present in order to develop the innovation ecosystem in the country? And we are the part of that. We can't say that we are the faculty, we are the teacher, we are the researcher. We are the part of innovation ecosystem. How we are the part, we will discuss that thing later stage. Now, as far as the important regulatory authorities are concerned, we can say innovation is regulated by Department of Scientific and Industrial Research, DSIR, which includes number of organizations like CSIR, then CDC, Consultancy Development Center, then CEL, Central Electronics Limited, National Research Development Corporation, Asian Pacific Center of Transfer of Technology. So these are the partners of DSIR, Department of Scientific Industrial Relations, which is the regulatory authority in order to promote the innovation in the country. But at the same time, in order to accelerate the growth of new India's innovation, organization which has been formed, that is Agni, that supports ongoing effort to boost the innovation ecosystem by connecting the innovators. So it is the role of Agni in order to create the connectivity with the innovation ecosystem, with other startups which are coming up for having the breakthrough innovations in the country. Now, important regulatory authority also includes Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, which provides a framework to reduce the processing time. We can't avoid very important component of innovation ecosystem, that is a policy. So it works very nicely in order to create a complete framework in order to develop the industrial policy and promotion from the innovation end. Then the Biotechnology Industry Research Council, BRAC, the contribution of that particular organization that can't be kept aside. It supports the exciting ideas in nascent stage. You can't believe few of the innovate bilateral cooperation which has taken place in the country, that includes I'm talking about few of the major contribution which has innovation bilateral corporation which has been developed in the country. They are the Israel-India Innovation Bridge, India-Singapore Entrepreneurship Bridge, India-Portugal Startup Hub, India-Sweden Startup Sambandh. You can't deny the fact of a Singapore and Sweden because they are very innovative, especially in terms of having having the innovation that we will have in our coming slides, how they are contributing, where they're standing, especially in innovation. Now let us have a brief idea of the innovation element and countries ranking. Now as far as the overall rank is concerned, global ranking of innovation ecosystem innovation, we don't stand anywhere. Switzerland is first, Sweden second, and USA is third. That's why I was saying you can't deny the role of a Sweden in innovation. So global ranking of overall ranking of global innovation is concerned, Sweden ranks first. As far as the institutions global ranking is concerned, we can say Singapore first, Finland, Norway, human capital research, Korea, Denmark, Sweden, infrastructure, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, market sophistication, Hong Kong, USA, Canada, business sophistication, Sweden, Switzerland, Israel, and some others. Especially if you go through this particular picture, probably you won't be finding the name of the country anywhere. That means we don't stand anywhere in first, second, third, especially in innovation ranking. Whatever the category which has been considered either overrank, institution, human capital, infrastructure, market sophistication, business sophistication, knowledge stack, and creative out. We don't stand anywhere. We are completely out of the race. But as far as the global priority areas and technologies are concerned, we need to understand where the investment is being made and where the startups are having the focus. Priority areas are technology, that we do understand it. But as far as being the professional management number of persons, we don't have much idea. We don't understand that how we can have a breakthrough, especially in technology. Second priority area is the climate change, where continuous working, especially from the startups and innovation system is taking place. Ocean resources, biodiversity, cybersecurity, industry, corporate governance, geopolitical, geo-economic cooperation. So these are the priority areas. Whereas the emerging technologies are concerned, I have already talked about. The government of India is also investing the money, especially in these areas. At the same time, global investment is also being taking place, especially in these emerging technologies. That includes artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, advanced materials, smart grids, autonomous vehicles, drones, big data analytics, etc., etc. Now, let us come to innovation factor in developed and developing countries. Here we will find India is standing the third column. We are having India. Now, as far as on the basis scientific and technical journal articles, we will find we are having 1,10,320, one specific in year 1920, certain journals which were considered. In comparison to China, we were so back from China. At the same time, USA was also standing second after China. Research and development expenditure percentage of GDP, 2.11 billion that has been spent, especially in by China in comparison to USA and some other countries as well. We are lagging behind, 0.62. So high-tech export, again, we are lagging behind. We are having total 7% of the total export, especially in the area of high-tech export. That is 14 billion US dollar export we have made, especially in these few years. This is the figure of 1920. That figure is given by the World Economic Forum. So again, if we have a comparison with China, France, Japan, USA, we'll find that India is again lagging behind. Now, these are the few of the research areas where a lot of contribution has taken place in the past, 1 year, especially if we talk about 2019. Energy storage, new material, biotech and chemicals, where continuous contribution has been made by the various startup, innovation, incubation, ecosystem that is also continuously supporting various, companies or startup in order to have a prototype, so that the various problems the various people are facing, especially in the form of energy storage and the use of a new material which is completely better than previous kind of material which is being present. So these are the few areas where the effort and things are complete efforts are being put, especially in these areas. Now, as far as the government priority mission, technology mission are concerned, quantum frontier, these are the DST, DOS, etc. Artificial intelligence, DST, MEIT, DBT, biodiversity, then MOEF and CC, DVT, bioscience and health, DBT, DHR, DOH, DST, deep ocean exploration. We are also working especially in that particular area in order to find some kind of breakthrough, especially with deep ocean exploration. And waste to wealth, again, these companies are having the priority, especially in technology missions of India. That doesn't mean the government is contributing, but at the same time, the government organizations are developing various policies and support systems in order to promote the startups so that they can come forward and can develop the prototype, and finally it can be scaled up in order to bring that thing in the market. When I was telling the examples of few of the startups which were incubated by us in our Banaras Hindu University, two startups which were completely based on biodiversity area. So that is being supported properly, and proper support is being given, apart from giving the support to artificial intelligence based technology or IoT based technology or big data analytics based technology. They are being given consideration, but at the same time bioscience is also being given consideration, and biodiversity is one of the very important aspects which is being considered everywhere, almost in all the innovation ecosystems. Now, if we compare ourselves in the form of patents filed by residents and non-residents, then you will find again a very different kind of figure which is there in front of you. India, percent of patent files by Indian residents, they are 30%, whereas non-resident files 70% of the patents in India, whatever the number of patents which are being filed in India. Whereas if we go to US, you will find that resident files 48% patents, non-resident files 52% patents. But if you go to China, then you will find 90% of patents are filed by residents of China and 10% of the patents are being filed by 10 non-residents of China. So by this figure, probably you can understand the kind of intention China is having, and we are very away from that. We are 3 times lagging behind in comparison to China. And we don't know how many years it will take in order to come and overcome the China, especially in research and development, breakthrough and innovation. Now, who are having the role? I was telling you the government is supporting the innovation very much in India, and the contribution of government support is 53% in comparison to business enterprise, that is 42%, and higher education institution 5%. So government have noticed this particular figure. If you remember, go through the column of India. 42 business enterprise, government 53, and higher education support is 5%. Government has nicely noted this particular lagging area and they are coming with a stringent rule which ultimately we will have to support the innovation ecosystem in our institution where we are working. But if you have a comparison with other countries, probably you'll find that government support in China is very less than 15%. In Japan, only 8%. In USA, 11%. Whereas in India, nothing can happen without the government support. So 53% support of government, that is mattering a lot. Now, if we go to the India Innovation Index 2020 framework, you will find not a very change between the India Innovation Index from 2019 to 2020. But at the same time, certain kind of things which has been noticed, are slight changes which were made, especially in certain things that is there. We can say a kind of adjustment from 2019 to 2020 that has taken place, especially if we go to this particular figure. Now, in case if we go for the country level analysis of India Innovation Index, then we can divide the innovation, enabler and performance into 3 parts. We are having the total score of innovation about 20, maybe around 22. Whereas human capital, we have about 40. Investment is around 10 score. Knowledge workers, they are having around 15. Business environment, that is around 18. Whereas safety and legal environment, that is having the score of 60. Knowledge output, that is very close to 19. And knowledgeable diffusion, that is also very close to 19. So the country level analysis of India, especially, which makes the innovation index, that has been considered in order to have the innovation index of a country of India, it is given there in front of you. Now, when we go for the global innovation index, we find that India's performance on Global Innovation Index, especially on GIS score, GI rank in total countries. In 2019, there's no need to go on all the figures. If we are having the figure of 2019 and 2020, we said there's no a big change between the figure of GIS score or GII ranking from 2019 to 2020. GIS score has reduced down where the rank has slightly improved. Previously it was 52, now it is 48. And total countries which have participated, especially in Global Innovation Index, early in 2019, it was 2019, 129, and 2020, it is 131. Where a slight change in that. As far as the research development expenditure as percentage of GDP in 2018-19 concerned, it can easily be understood. We can say, in comparison to GDP, we are having 0.64% investment in our research and development, and the figure is there in front of you. Whereas number of countries which include South Korea, Israel, Sweden, Japan, Australia, Germany, they are very ahead of our country. So this is also one of the national research development expenditure, its percentage GDP figure. Expenditure to the 18-19, that was quite big. But as far as research development as percentage of GDP, that was around 0.70, it was 0.68. If you have seen the previous figure which tells about the 0.64, it was about 0.64. And as far as percentage of GDP in comparison to the total GDP we have, or research development expenditure we had, which was in comparison to GDP, you'll find from 2014 to 19 onwards, we are finding a similar straight line, no change at all, especially in that one. So that means the percentage is very similar as it was being maintained in previous years as well. Now, which are the sectors where we are having I have already talked about this particular figure. There is a central government and private sector, etc., etc. Now, let us come to the efficiency and innovation of Indian states. Now, this particular figure is very interesting if you go see it. Now, as far as, now we know it well, there are certain states which must be contributing very nicely. If we talk about the innovation score, which is at the bottom, if we go ahead on the right-hand side, the 50 is the highest innovation score. And if we proceed further at the topper side, then we find efficiency ratio, and which starts from 0 and go up to 2. So at the upper side, Karnataka and Delhi, Maharashtra and Telangana, these are the 4 or 5 states which are being found, which are having the high efficiency ratio and the innovation score very high. Whereas as far as the UP is concerned, we can say efficiency ratio is quite high, but the innovation score is very less. So that's why we don't have that kind of innovation breakthrough as the Maharashtra, Karnataka, especially we talk about the Bangalore and the Delhi, they are having the breakthrough. Now, if we talk about the efficiency innovation of Indian states based on innovation tier, it is given 1, 2, 3, 4 innovation tier, and you can easily find that there are a number of states which has been considered for innovation tier stage represented by pink color, green innovation tier state which are represented by green color, and yellow innovation tier, second innovation tier represented by orange color, first innovation tier which is represented by blue color. When we talk about the first innovation tier, then you find Karnataka, Delhi, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Daman Diu, Chandigarh, Kerala, Haryana. These are those states which are in the first innovation tier. And as far as the UP's performance is concerned, we can say in second innovation tier, it is at top and having the efficiency ratio very close to 1.8. Previously, we talked about that was 2 efficiency ratio. Now, as far as the innovation rank change in concern in comparison to 2019, number of states have registered a significant breakthrough. Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, they have changed their position. Karnataka is still maintaining first position, that is still in 2019. Tamil Nadu has slipped down to third, Maharashtra has slipped down to second, and fourth, Telangana, that is also maintaining, you can say, 4 ranking as it was being maintained by that particular system. Now, as far as the Indian innovation ecosystem we talk about, the government have taken many initiatives. Near about, we have 594 mentors, 128 accelerators, mentoring of startups are being taking place. 570 incubator. I was talking that the previous figure which I have given 200 something that is replaced by 570 innovators. We have sufficient number of angel investors. Few of the angel investors' names they are being identified. They are displayed on your screen. Rishi Srivastava, Unicorn India, Your Nas, Unitas Seed Fund, Siddharth Jaiswal, Chennai Angels, Account Fund, Cracks, Informative 60, Calcutta Angels, Fireside Ventures, Mohammed Azhar, Harish Balasubramania, Murli RK, Sanjay Health, RPW, Chapter Alankita Verma. These are few of the names which I have identified and which are being continuously used by the different innovation ecosystem which has been established in the country in order to have the complete support in the form of a seed capital or the angel capital.